Hey y'all, Little Man here. So, as y'all can probably tell from the title, this is not the type of video that I normally do. I recently went and saw the new Miku movie, being Colorful Stage the movie, A Miku Who Can't Sing. I will not be repeating that whole title each time, with a group of friends, and I wanted to just do a review of the movie, since it's a Miku movie. Of course, I have to talk about it. So I guess I haven't done a review before, so I don't know the best way to tackle this. But I guess I'll try and do spoiler free first. If you like Project Sakai, or I guess in America here they call it Colorful Stage, I'm assuming. I would heavily recommend this movie to you. If you just like Miku, but you have no idea what Project Sakai is, I'm gonna keep referring to it as Project Sakai because that's the name they use in the movie. Uh, it is so confusing. Like, holy shit. They do not explain anything. So, I guess I'll quickly go over, like, characters because there's a lot of them. There's, in fact, 22 main characters, being there are five groups of four that all do their own like type of music, and then plus one of the groups has robot sidekick, I guess, and the titular Miku are all like equally important, I guess. I don't know. I guess the plot focused Miku is technically a bit more important, but so there's 22 main characters, and it's like how it works is it's like basically every group of characters have the same general thing that they do, and it just goes back to back to back to back of each of those groups doing that one thing. And it's so confusing because a lot of the characters look so similar to each other. Like, if I'm just gonna quickly look over at what the that's the wrong thing. Oh no. Oh no, I messed this up. Oh no. 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 Okay, there, fixed. Um this character, this character, this character, this character, this character, all main characters. They were only able to fit like a quarter of them is on the official poster. It's so funny. And then I guess I don't think this counts as spoilers. I guess technically, if you don't know what Project Sakai is, this is spoilers. No, I'm just gonna rip the band-aid off. If you like Miku, you will probably like this movie. It's just very confusing to follow. If you like Project Sakai, you probably will like love this movie, like 8 out of 10 or higher. But I'm just gonna go into spoilers right now, cause oh my god, there's so much going on. So not only are there the 22 main characters, but each of the individual groups, I guess the bands, each of the individual bands have this like computer universe, I guess they can go into, called a Sakai, which I guess is like the premise of Project Sakai. I don't know. I still haven't looked it up. So, and in each of those universes, there's like six different Vocaloids. So that means if you take the six Vocaloids from each of those groups, that means there are 30 reoccurring side characters as well. So stupid. Like, oh my god. And then if you don't know what a Sakai is, they do not introduce what it is. It's just, oh, we're suddenly in a classroom that's looking out onto a night onto like a starry night sky, and there's suddenly a new Miku that we haven't seen before, with like one of the characters that I think we've seen like twice at this point, and then just suddenly the like other Vocaloid characters are suddenly showing up. Like, it's like they're hanging out, and then the pink-haired Vocaloid character shows up. Sorry, I don't know all the Vocaloids in this. I know Kaido, Miku. I should know the name of the yellow-haired twins, but I don't. And then there's brown-haired girl and pink-haired girl. So, and then just like suddenly it's like, oh, all there's like 6 Vocaloids in this room, and they didn't establish that, nor did they establish this room and what it is at all. Because it's only like in like the second or third Sakai room that they go to, that like one of the other groups are in, because each group has their own Sakai room that is completely different than all the others. That they do the whole like animation of them looking on their computer and going into the Sakai. They don't do that for the first one. What were they thinking? Like, oh my god. Like, just if you don't know what Sakai is at all, it does not tell you anything. It is ridiculous. So, oh god, okay. So the plot. I'll quickly go over the plot. So, um like each Miku, because they only really focus on the Miku of like the Vocaloid characters as like the most important character. They kind of just like, yeah, the other Vocaloids are there, but they're not really that important. Like, okay, awesome, I guess. So um I guess like what it is like the Miku, the like main character, Lonely Miku, I guess that's what I'll call her, uh is connected to a whole bunch of different people through her Sakai, whereas like groups, I guess, like bands, have one shared Miku. So this Lonely Miku instead has a bunch of people, and then basically all the people that are connected to her Sakai are really depressed, and she's trying to sing to them to make them feel better. And then she tries that, it doesn't work. To them, it just seems like a weird hologram Miku is glitched out and mumbling nonsense at them, which obviously does not help with them being depressed and usually just makes them feel worse. Uh, so that happens, and then uh, that Lonely Miku. Oh my god, not again! And then Miku runs into this blue-haired girl, which is not to be confused with the other blue-haired girl, this one, or the other dark blue-haired girl, which I will mention because I have some personal grievances with how that character is written, but it's not for right now. So this dark blue-haired girl, I guess, is kind of the main character. Sort of, I guess. Of the Project Sakai characters, I guess she's the main character. Secondary main character to, obviously, Miku. So, Lonely Miku sees this version of Miku, like, singing at, like, a corner of some street or whatever, with, like, crowd of people going, like, ooh, woo, yeah! And then, like, one person from Lonely Miku Sakai, is like having like a depressive episode saying, I give up on some obligation. I forget what it is. I think he was like a singer or something, and he gave up on a gig. And then he like sees his performances like, oh, that's kind of nice. I kind of regret my previous decision. But like he doesn't say it out loud, but you can kind of see it on his face, because there's like some moments that they have like really good like facial animation where it's like, oh, I kind of understand how that character is thinking through the animation, which I very highly commend. There are some moments where they do really good with depression, and that's basically just going to be its whole thing tacked on to the end of this. It's going to be my ending point. So basically, Lonely Miku sees this girl singing and is like, "You are reaching people, which I can't do." So she goes out, finds this girl's band, and is like, "Hey, show me your music. I want to learn how to reach out with people." Excuse me. So that happens, and then she reaches a. Eventually, she finds all the other groups of people, reaches out to them, hears their songs, and then tries again to. Oh my god! Sorry, I had a lot of soda apparently. Uh, so she goes to like all the other bands, hears their songs, and is like, okay, yeah, I feel like I could do this, and then goes to a different person, sings to them, and is still all weird and glitched out. And then at that point, Lonely Miku basically starts spiraling and basically is like in the middle of her Sakai and just starts sobbing. And after that, those tears, I guess, basically find their way into the Sakais of the five different bands. And then all the characters from all those bands show up in Lonely Miku Sakai, which is like a bunch of windows. It's like a bunch of floating windows that like connects, I guess, to like the phones of all the people in her Sakai. And then whenever someone's feeling particularly sad, I guess, like a bunch of sand and broken ones and zeros come in to her Sakai. And like the actual like place where they stand her Sakai is just like a desert of this. And then like I guess the weird broken zeros and ones like start enveloping Lonely Miku. Oh, and also on the top of her Sakai, there's like this giant like viney bush thing that's like has like a bunch of like darkness inside of it. So basically this Miku is like, "Oh my god, I can't do anything. I completely give up." So she kind of just like curls up into a ball, gets like all the people that are in there a way out to leave, and then a bunch of like darkness comes down and envelops the Miku. And then after that, there's like just a complete blackout, and then all of a sudden, and then when power suddenly returns, suddenly Hatsune's Miku voice disappears from all the songs that she previously existed in, as well as the darkness goes into like I guess every Sakai, but we only see Sakais of our main characters, which makes sense. And it envelops and takes only the Mikus from that world. Like all the other Vocaloids are alive, but obviously very upset that like their worlds basically got like really messed up and one of their friends got kidnapped, which like duh, that makes sense. Then after that, each of oh, and also the Miku who can't sing, uh, can actually sing technically. She just sings the same song, and she sings like the first like four lines of it like six different times throughout the movie. Like, uh, I it's not a bad song when you listen to the whole thing. I like that it's slow. Then gets like super like hype and pitch when you hear the full thing at the end. Like that's so good. But just the fact that it's like a very slow melancholy beginning and you hear it like six different times, it's just like I get it, that's the one song she knows. Learn a new song. Boo. um so oh fuck, where was I? Oh no, I got lost in the plot. No. Oh, right. So all the bands had listened to this and they're like, "Oh, yeah, I like the idea behind the song. She wants to like make people happy. So let's make our own song about making people happy." Which is the eventual conclusion. They have like the um oh, what the fuck was it? It's their darkest hour. They have their darkest hour. It's like all is lost. Oh, woe is me. And then they're like, "Oh, let's make songs about being happy and spreading positivity." And like getting out of like a bad situation. So that happens, and with that, like, basically at the same time on the same day, all five groups release a song about being happy. And it's five back-to-back musical numbers, which I think are all pretty good. Because, like, there hasn't really been, like, all the music has basically just been, like, 10 to 15-second clips of, like, a bunch of pre-existing songs. It hasn't, there's been, like, a couple scenes where it's, like, 30 seconds of just singing, basically as, like, plot happens, or, like, as you watch plot happen. And then there's the five back-to-back musical numbers, which I all like, but especially with the first one, there's like subtitles, and I just read them as like, oh my god, if this was in English, this would be the cringiest song. Like, I felt cringy just like reading the lyrics while listening to it, being the punk group's song. But then after that, the lyrics work for all the rest of the songs. It was just the first one, they were doing like the weird cringy like thirst trap thing, uh with like the weird posing and shit. Which felt so weird about a song about how like you're gonna get through this, everything's gonna be better. It's just so goofy. But I liked the rest of the songs, even including the circus group song. Even though I think on the surface the circus group song feels more cringy, because it's them being like super childlike, of like the rest of the group is like, oh, I'm so sad, and like dramatically posing and stuff. But it's so purposely over the top that I think it really works and is a lot of fun. Then from there, I don't really have any memorable thoughts of the rest of them. I think it was interesting how, okay, I should probably just realize I haven't mentioned what the groups are. Very simply, there's the goth group, there's the punk group, there's the circus themed group, which I think is really goofy, but I adore that that's a thing. They have the like K-pop girl band group, and a group of they're all schoolgirls, I guess. I guess that's their theme. I don't really know. Uh but then so it's like the goth group, they're the only ones that don't like actually perform. They just release the song. And with it has some like really good 2D animation that I thought was like really pretty. I'm trying to remember if I the other two groups, I don't really have any like huge thoughts on. Just the music was good. Like, I like the music. So after that, the lonely Miku realizes, oh no, oh my god. Oh my god. Okay. Not scuffed at all. Not at all. Not a thing that's happening. Definitely not scuffed. Okay, I probably should have had this set up like this from the beginning. But okay, no longer scuffed. So after this, lonely Miku realizes like, oh, people are getting happy now. Yippee! And then her Sakai goes back to normal, and she transforms into this version of her that is like this white dress or whatever. And then oh yeah, and her hologram can like exist like in the real world and like jump between different things. So she starts flying around, singing the rest of her song, and it's all cute and stuff. And that's basically where the movie ends. There's a bit more to it, but it's just I think it's just the schoolgirl group showing back up and being like, oh, it's like a parallel to the scene at the beginning that didn't really matter. And then I think it cuts to like all the 20 different main characters all just having a good old grand time. And then movie ends. And then there's uh and then for at least for the screening of it that I saw, there was like essentially they like mimicked a Miku concert with the new version of our Miku with the like five other Vocaloids that had their like original outfits. Like, okay, pretty all right. So that was the plot of the movie. Um, a lot of it that I skipped over was basically just like cute character moments between like different members of each group with each other, and occasionally there was like one or two moments where it was like a character from this group meeting a character from the other group. So overall, pretty good movie. But now I'm gonna like get very into the weeds of some stuff. Starting with, I think this might be the only thing I cover actually. How they represent depression in this movie. Because with some points, with some characters, they do a really good job of it. But then at other points with other characters, I feel like they just really missed the ball to the point where it kind of weirded me out. I should also say this is coming from someone with depression, or I'm not as depressed now, but there was a point in my life where I was really bad off, depression wise. But I think so. There's like four or five other reoccurring characters that I guess are part of Lonely Miku Sakai, who are all going through like some form of depression. There's an artist with burnout, an athlete that has broken an arm. There is a schoolgirl who is like basically pushing her little sister away because she is like putting like heavy loads of stress onto herself to study for this exam. There was the singer I mentioned earlier who, like, I guess broke off the contract or whatever because he just didn't feel like he could do it. I think there's one other that I guess I just didn't notice was a reoccurring character. But in the scenes where they're showing all the depressed characters getting better, she was part of it. So I'm assuming she was, who is some, like, older lady who apparently was going through some sort of conflict with someone else. And I think with at least most of those, they do a really good job of making their depression very, like, scarily relatable, but then making how they react to the, like, happy music videos realistic and also positive, which is really impressive. Because for the artist suffering through burnout, it's one of his friends sending, hey, look at this cute song thing, and he just like watches it and kind of like relaxes and gets in a better headspace and is like, thank you for reaching out, I really needed this. Which that's very good. That is a really good, accurate way of framing this. It's not like, oh, you saw happy music video, now I'm cured. It's like, oh, thank you, I needed to get my mind off of this, showing like individual people like having like a little moment of comfort, which is way better. Same thing with the person who's having the conflict. They're like watching the, I think it was the K-pop group's concert, and like mid watching it, he kind of like calms down and realizes, oh fuck, I messed up, I guess. But then and then going on to the not great, the sister that was like pushing the girl that was pushing away her sister while studying for exams. The little sister shows up and is like, hey, look, it's circus people doing cute thing. And it's like, oh, look, they now are sisterly bonding now, yippee. That one didn't really work, I think, because earlier the thing that got the older sister mad at the younger sister was just the younger sister bringing her food. So I don't think showing this goofy circus performance, or not really circus performance, but like over the top character acting with these characters singing about having to be happy would go over that well. I I don't really have a super big complaint with that one. It was just kind of goofy. And then I don't remember if the singer guy showed up again later, because I don't think he might have. I think his whole like, oh, I should reconsider this. I should like stop being bad to myself moment was with this singer girl when she was singing on the corner. And then the other one, the guy who had his arm broken, I do not remember how he gets better. I'm pretty sure he did. I don't think they dropped that because he showed up at least two times beforehand, and I doubt they just went, oops, we forgot to put in his scene. I'm pretty sure I just forgot because this was like basically 2 days ago. So overall, they handled depression like really well for like a movie whose whole moral, uh, where it's like sudden tipping point, everyone's doing better. They actually handled depression really well, except for one of the characters, being the other character with dark blue hair, who looks nearly identical to this one, except she doesn't go outside. And it's like, basically, it's like, and that character is, I think, the singer of the goth group. And her whole character is that she's depressed, and that's it. And other characters talk about how she's depressed, and basically also just like act like that's the only thing she has going on, is that she's depressed and can sing and can write lyrics well. Like, it's just so baffling that that's part of the same movie, because it's like, because basically like when each group individually has the idea to come up with making a happy song, the person who like does some of the like post production, I guess, that being this long haired girl, basically is like, hey, uh dark blue haired girl, your whole thing is that you're depressed. How about you write lyrics coming from that point of view? And then depressed girl's like, I don't really want to do that. My heart's just not in that. That's not something I'm interested in writing. And then the other characters go, pretty please. Pretty please with a cherry on top. And then depressed girl's like, oh, okay, fine, sure, I guess. Because you asked so. And it just rubbed me the wrong way. Like, every other step of the way, they did a really good job with handling depression. But then just with this one main character, they just fumbled the bag like really hard. And it felt so weird because like they also did a good job of making her depression feel real. But that was the only thing that they did with her character. Like, it honestly, like honestly, I don't get it. Like, it doesn't even feel like she even likes the other members of her group, because the other members of her group are also like really goth. They don't even like go outside and hang out that often. But it's really obvious that like with all the groups is that they care for each other a lot. But then the depressed girl feels like she's only there because she was written to be there, rather than them being friends. Because there's so many better ways to have written that character to make sense, both that they're depressed and that they're in that friend group, and it just really didn't feel like they bothered writing that part. Because like everywhere else it's like they're obvious that they're friends. I feel like this could very easily be a disconnect between, they did a really good job of setting this up in Project Sakai, whatever that is, and then they just didn't bother doing that at all in this movie, which is a running theme with basically everything. because they don't explain what Vocaloid is. They don't explain what Project Sakai is. They don't explain that there are different Sakais until it's, oh, there are multiple Sakais apparently. Uh, like they don't explain anything, and I think that potentially this character and how she interacts with the other characters is part of that. So either this movie is like really good, nailed everything, it just didn't explain any of the Project Sakai stuff, or it's they did a pretty good job with handling depression. They just randomly did a really shit job with this character. I think what it is, potentially, here's my read. They do a really good job with writing depression, but they didn't do any work of how a depressed character interacts with other characters. No, I take that back. I take that back. Because they did a really interesting, really well done depiction of depression with the depressed dark blue haired girl. Basically it's only in like one small throwaway scene. Basically shows that she puts on a front of being happier when being around her family, which is a really well written piece of depression. Just for some reason, they just did a really shit job of explaining why the depressed girl hangs out with any of the other members of her group and why she was okay with them just going, oh yeah, you're depressed, why don't you write the lyrics for the song, which just feels so unbelievably rude. Like, oh my god. Like, basically, it really feels like the rest of her friend group's like, you're our token depressed friend. Which just, it felt so weird. I don't know. This might be a case of not fully getting the dynamics between all of the characters from not having seen, like, the rest of the Project Sakai stuff. But it just felt so weird. Especially since they did a really good job with the rest of like handling other people being depressed. It was just so weird with that one character. So, oh yeah. So that's all I'm going to say on the depression topic. What I'm going to say now is there was a really big lack of Miku in the movie, especially since like post Darkest Hour, all of the Mikus disappear. And then the Mikus only really show up for like 2 scenes each beforehand, except for Lonely Miku, who is sort of a through line. But like all of the fun character moments that I didn't describe does not include any of the Vocaloids. So there's a really weird lack of Miku. And then there's only like all of the moments where it's like 30 seconds of song or whatever, like while you like watch plot happening. None of those include Hatsune Miku. Like Hatsune Miku songs like show up as like background noise in like some scenes, which I didn't describe it well, but is different than songs happening while you watch people react to song as part of the plot. There's really only one full Miku song, and it's at the very end, unless you include like them constantly repeating the first 4 lines of that song, which I disagree with. And then this is not a complaint from me, this is a complaint from one of my friends. At the like final like post show or post movie show thing that they did, where they did like the 3D character like concert thing, only Miku got the cool redesign. All of the other Vocaloids just had their original outfit, which I understand that being a letdown. Like that's kind of a shame. So yeah, this review was unfortunately quite negative, which it feels mean to do that because honestly, like when I originally watched it, I was like, I was pretty pessimistic on it when I originally watched it, just because of the pure confusion of the Project Sakai stuff, them just not explaining fucking anything. I think now I would probably give it a 6.5 out of 10. Yeah, that sounds about right. But I think if you're interested in Project Sakai and you know about it, this is easily an 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 movie. So, like, despite all the flaws I've harped on about, they did a really really good job of depression, except the one character, which is just like it's really weird. I was not expecting that in this movie, but they just did a really good job of it. And then like all the groups were like really cute. They all had like fun banter with each other. The Vocaloids felt weird because you could tell that they're Vocaloids because their voices have like the like weird toning thing that they all do, which makes sense. They're meant to sing, not to talk. Uh, I guess that's about it. I don't really have any other ending statements. Pretty good movie. Just really confusing if you don't know what Project Sakai is. But I think if I were to go back and watch it again, I think I would have I think my enjoyment of this movie would be improved by going back and watching it again, which is honestly a pretty good sign. So I would say for me, 6.5 out of 7 out of 10 movie. I think if you're a Miku fan and you're thinking about watching it, I would watch it. Like it's fun. Like it's a fun movie. It's just so confusing at the beginning, and there's some kind of cringe parts, but if you're already enjoying Hatsune Miku, I don't think that the cringe will hurt you. And it was honestly just the one scene with the punk group singing their song. So, oh my god, I've been talking about the Miku movie for over half an hour. Holy shoot. So I'm gonna leave it here. I've been concluding for over 2 minutes, so I guess I've been rambling so much. I just apparently have a lot of thoughts about this movie, which is wild. So yeah, I hope all of y'all enjoyed. If you're a longtime viewer, I don't think I'm gonna be doing other movie reviews. At least not soon. And sorry for the lack of content on the channel. I've just been like busy and tired. So yeah, see you guys in the next video. Peace.